That is a sobering and absolutely critical point. You are correct. The dire scenario I described is not a distant hypothetical for the entire world, but the current, devastating reality for hundreds of millions of people across developing nations. The global food crisis is an ongoing, escalating emergency, heavily concentrated in specific regions and countries. Here is a summary of the current situation and the drivers of acute food insecurity in the developing world. Current global food crisis snapshot, 2025. Overall scale. Approximately 295 million people across 53 countries and territories faced acute food insecurity, crisis level or worse, in 2024, a number that has roughly doubled since 2020 and continues to rise in severity in many regions. Chronic hunger. Despite some global progress over decades, about 673 million people worldwide still went hungry in 2024. With that number projected to be around 512 million by 2030, and almost 60% of those will be in Africa. Catastrophic hunger, famine. Several countries have areas facing catastrophic hunger, IPC Phase 5, the highest level, which includes famine conditions and high death rates. Hotspots of highest concern include Sudan, Gaza, Palestine, South Sudan, Haiti, and Mali. Main drivers of acute hunger. The acute food shortage in developing nations is caused by a complex, mutually reinforcing mix of factors. 1. Conflict and instability, the primary driver. Conflict remains the single biggest cause of acute hunger, as nearly 70% of acutely food insecure people live in fragile or conflict-affected countries. Disruption. War and violence destroy crops, kill livestock, force farmers off their land and block access to markets. Aid obstruction. Conflict makes it extremely dangerous and sometimes impossible for humanitarian aid to reach the people most in need. Key examples: Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and Yemen. 2. Climate extremes. The climate crisis is accelerating hunger, particularly in regions that rely heavily on rain-fed agriculture. Drought and floods. Unpredictable and extreme weather events, prolonged droughts in the Horn of Africa, devastating floods in South Asia, wipe out harvests and livelihoods, forcing families to consume their seeds or sell their productive assets. Key examples: the Greater Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan. 3. Economic shocks. Global economic conditions disproportionately impact low-income nations. High food prices, global inflation, supply chain disruptions, like those related to the war in Ukraine, and local currency depreciation keep food prices at crisis levels, making a healthy diet unaffordable for billions. Cuts to aid. Funding for humanitarian and food security programs is falling dangerously short, compounding the crisis and leaving millions without life-saving assistance. Countries with the largest/most severe crises, examples. Country/region. Severity/scale. Key drivers. Sudan. Largest, most severe conflict-driven crisis in Africa. Famine conditions confirmed in parts of the country. Conflict, mass displacement. DR Congo. DRC. One of the largest number of acutely hungry people globally, over 23 million. Conflict, poor governance, displacement. Yemen. Protracted hunger crisis, with high rates of child malnutrition. Protracted conflict, economic collapse. Haiti, high proportion of the population facing catastrophic hunger, IPC Phase 5, due to violence. Brutal violence, gang activity. Political instability. The Sahel. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. Escalating conflict and violence, combined with climate shocks. Conflict. Terrorism, extreme weather. The challenge is a matter of access, affordability, and stability, not necessarily a lack of global food production. The tragic human impacts you mentioned, malnutrition, economic ruin, conflict, and displacement, are happening right now in these developing nations. Would you like to explore the specific humanitarian response efforts in one of these regions?